Hey folks, we're out here in San Diego where it's not so sunny, hanging out at Secret Knock at the Music Box. I get to speak and do a keynote. I get to share the 6 lessons that all of you need to know when it comes to money. With everything happening in the world, this is the best time I've ever seen to take back control of your money and to be your own bank. You should check it out. It's early in the morning. It's one of those cold, rainy days. There's a dense fog where you can only see barely the hand in front of your face. A couple months earlier, I had become a professional snowboarder. And right now, I'm standing at the base of a mountain in New Hampshire, getting ready to embark on one of the greatest opportunities of my life. This is my first professional competition, and I am filled with excitement. I'm filled with anticipation for what's about to happen. You see, this opportunity gives me the chance to make my mark amongst the greatest snowboarders in the world. And my opportunity is right in front of my face. So I wanted to be the first one on the lift. Standing there in this fog, it's so quiet. I feel the rain hitting my face and dripping off my goggles. And then in the distance, I hear the mighty roar of the lift come to life. Oh, it's go time now. As I'm on the lift, I'm riding up to new heights, thinking about all the things I'm going to do. And I'm just so excited. I pop out of the fog and I take a look right over here to the left, and there's this giant thing. And all that anticipation, all that excitement gives way to the greatest overwhelming fear I've ever felt. As I look at that thing, I can't help myself but to think, no, that thing is the biggest jump I've ever seen in my life. It was huge. As I keep riding the lift up, that fear is heightening inside me. That panic is building. I started to think to myself, there's no way this is the jump. You know, he's trying to trick your mind. That ain't the jump we're going to hit. But deep down, I knew in my mind it was, but I didn't want to acknowledge it. And then as I'm getting to the top, I'm thinking, all right, you know what? I'm the new guy here. I'm the rookie. I'm just going to take the lift and I'm just going to ride it around and take it back down because nobody's going to miss me, right? As I get to the top of the mountain, my board touches the snow and I stand up. Now let me transition. How many of you in here have children? Raise your hands. My daughter, Vivi, turns 3 in May. She's the light of my life. And she's also the thorn in my side. I know all of you parents know exactly what I'm talking about. But isn't it incredible how once we have children, our perspective on almost everything shifts. Everything we do becomes a step toward our legacy. What will we leave behind when we're gone? How will everything that we're doing benefit them when they need it the most? I think about this all the time. And my daughter, Vivi, she's like a pink Tasmanian devil. Actually, better suited, she's like the pink baby shark these days. You know, she's completely fearless. And that scares us as parents. They don't have any fear. Matter of fact, Vivi has no limits whatsoever. She has not set those limits yet. She doesn't know the difference between possible and impossible. And that is what scares us parents to death. Are you guys right, parents? Like we don't know what they're going to do next. But that same fear motivates the hell out of me. And you know what? If my daughter at almost 3 can do the impossible, why can't I? Why can't all of you? You know, when I was a child, I remember a young little boy. I was an ambitious little bugger. You know, I dreamed up huge things. And one of the things I loved to do is go fishing. But I didn't have the means to go fishing. And I came up with this idea. I would just go in the backyard and I would dig a pond. And that way I don't have to go anywhere. Brilliant idea. So I rushed into Mom and I said, Mom, I'm going to dig a pond in the backyard so Dad doesn't have to take me fishing. And she just laughs. And she says, all right, go dig a pond. So I grab a shovel and off I go. I start getting ready to dig in. You know, my dream is about to become reality. I dig in and I hit bedrock. No problem. I start digging right over here. I get about 2 feet down and bedrock again. And another spot and another spot. This went on for about an hour. And I got frustrated. I'm like, oh, this just isn't going to work. So I rush into Mom again. And I say, Mom, I hit bedrock. And she just laughs again. And she says, silly, if you're going to dig a pond, you should dig a pond where all the water sits after the snow melts. I live in Buffalo, New York. We get plenty of that. So I said, oh my gosh, you're right. I knew this spot. Right at the back left corner of our yard was this low spot. Every spring it was filled with water. So I grabbed the shovel and I went out there and I started digging. every day, every week. Months went by and I was digging my dream, this pond. At the end of summer, there it was, my pond glistening in the sun. Now came the hard part. I had to be patient. I had to wait for winter to come and go and all that snow to melt so my pond filled up. And then I went up the street, caught fish, stocked the pond. I never caught any fish, but as you can see, my dream became reality because of hard work. Now let's transition back to that snowboard story. So I'm standing at the top of this mountain and I'm looking at this steep, long rundown to the jump. That giant, enormous jump. It's about 20 feet high. That's how high the lip is. And I'm staring at this thing and I'm thinking to myself, okay, there's no one up here. Calm down. You guys know that panic feeling? Then all of a sudden, riders start showing up and I can see the look on their face. They're scared too. I'm like, all right, I'm not the only one. But see, as professional snowboarders, we always have to choose the one. And we usually chose the one with a game of Rochambeau. Now, as you can all just guess, the rookie, yeah, I got chosen as the one. Now, the one is just a made-up name. It's really the guinea pig that gets to hit the jump first. I was chosen. So I strap in, click, 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 and I'm standing at that long in-run, that long runway to that big jump, and all these ideas are going through my head. I'm just thinking, all right, if I go too fast at that jump, I could hit the lip and overshoot the landing and, well, go jump out of a 2-story building and let me know how that feels, because it's the same thing. Okay, but if I check my speed too many times and I go off the lip and I don't have enough speed, well, I'm just going to smash into the backside of that landing. Well, that'll hurt. And in all this panic, I'm not even listening, but the starter says, are you ready? I didn't hear him, but I certainly heard the second time he said, go at will. Keyword, will. I had no will. I wasn't ready. I didn't know if I was ever going to be ready, but I sat there thinking about it. Felt like forever. Took a deep breath. And I leaped. And it was like time slowed down. And I hit the snow, and all I could hear in that moment was, now I'm in the air. I've left the lip of that 20-foot high jump, but see, at this point, fear is completely gone. See, instinct kicked in. It's like a bird when it falls out of its nest. It starts flapping its wings and it just knows how to fly. Well, I had hit jumps hundreds and hundreds of times. You see, I had instinct and I too knew how to fly, and boy, did I. And I hit that landing. And all the fear that had been with me that entire morning was gone. And I was filled with the greatest heightened excitement you could ever feel because I overcame fear by leaping. The moral of this story is we all must leap. We all must make that choice to decide, are we going to go forward with our dreams? Are we going to be the person we were meant to be, the greatness inside of us? Are we going to be that fearless child again? Or are we going to let fear stop us? Are we going to let fear stop us in our tracks from being who we're meant to be, being who God put us on this earth to be? And the saddest thing is, I meet people and talk to people every day. And the biggest thing I see happen is people are stopped from their great ambitions because of other people telling them they can't. Other people saying, you shouldn't, you can't do this, that's a stupid idea. We literally conform to other people's failed realities, other people's failed dreams, other people's failed plans. And we wonder why we don't get where we want to be in life. So in today, what I thought I would do is I wanted to walk you through 6 chapters of my life where I'm going to outline 6 lessons that I taught my daughter, and I wrote her a letter. And this letter became my TEDx talk called Rethink Money. And I want to walk you through these chapters so that I can teach you the 6 lessons that I'm teaching my daughter. Chapter number 1, pay yourself first. See, my mom didn't have much when Dad left. When she wanted something, she had to save up for it. I remember seeing Mom come home from the grocery store. She had change in her pocket. She'd go to this giant glass jar and she'd drop the change in there. I watched this go on over and over and over again. And over time, that jar would begin to fill up. And to me, as a young boy, that was fascinating. And when she decided it was time, we would sit down on her bedroom floor and we would start counting that money, rolling it in those little coins. They don't even do that anymore, do they? They do. Good. Teach your kids this. Roll those little coins. And then when she saved enough, she would go buy the things that she needed. Shortly thereafter, my mom got me a little black slide top box. And she said, Chris, this is yours. And I want you to use this to save the money you want for the things you need. Well, I knew exactly what I wanted. You see, in the newspaper, I had cut out this little picture of a dirt bike. It was a Kawasaki dirt bike, and I taped it to my mirror. Looked at it every day, drew pictures of it on Trapper Keepers, had dreams about this. And one day, Mom said, Chris, let's go ride that dirt bike. I'm like, oh, yeah, let's go. We get to the dirt bike store. Joe, the owner, lets me ride 2 dirt bikes. And after it was done, it was like another great day of my life back then. I'm walking back to the car, man, I'm fulfilled. Just got to ride this thing I've been looking at every day. She stops me and she says, Chris, do you want to take that bike home with you? I was confused. I'm like, what do you mean, Mom? And she then tells me that I'd saved up enough money in that little black box that we could take that dirt bike home with us. I will never forget the way that made me feel. I felt so proud. You see, my mom had inadvertently taught me one of the number one things when it comes to money. She taught me to pay myself first. Now, other people might call this savings, but I don't think that encapsulates the gravity of what's really going on here, because we are not taught to pay ourselves first. You know what we're taught? To pay our bills first, to pay the creditors first, to pay the debtors first. Our needs are put last on the list. We tell ourselves we deserve the leftovers, and we never prioritize our own needs, and therefore we never seem to get where we want to be in life. Folks, this is completely backwards. We have to go for the things that we want in life. You have to pay yourself first. I teach my daughter this, and I want all of you to start thinking about that as well. Because if you don't, you're hurting yourself, you're shortchanging yourself. Because here's what we're taught to do. We're taught to give up control of our money. We're taught to put the money in the bank, put the money in the 401k, put the money in Wall Street, all the things you've been taught your whole life. And when we do that, we put and give up control of our money by putting it in the bank. Let me give you an example. How does it work, right? Let me make sure I get this right. We work for money, right? We go out and we trade hours for dollars for money. And when we earn the money, we take it and we give up control of it to the bank. We just put it in the bank. Now, have you ever sat down and asked your banker, what are you going to do with that money when I give it to you? They're going to say, well, we're going to pay you interest on it. We're going to give you 1, 2, maybe 3%. Oh, and also, did you see the dum-dum suckers in the thing? Pick your flavor. Every bank in this country only has one type of sucker, and it is called dum-dums. I know I'm right on that one. So we gave up control of our money. Now, the banker would say back to you, they would say, no, sir, we're going to actually send your money to work for us. Oh, wait, what do you mean? You're not going to take my money and put it in that box with my name on it, store it in the safe, so when I come back, I can take my money? No, sir. What we're going to do is we're going to take your money, we're going to make it go to work for us. Look behind you. See those glass cubicles? That's where we're making your money go to work. We're lending that money out. We're lending that money out at 5, 7, 12%. And they're paying us, what, 1, 2, maybe 3%. But you see, banks in this country make between 400 and 1,300% more than we do on the money that we give up control. Look it up, BauerFinancial.com. It's a factual number, 400 to 1,300% more than we make. But we're okay with this because, we feel good. I got my money in the bank. The magic in that equation I just gave you comes between what they pay you, let's just use 1, and what they charge you, let's call that 5. In the middle is called a spread. The spread is the magic number, and they don't have to take much risk to earn that. And the best part about what banks do is if you really study banking and you study banks, you can mimic exactly what a bank does. You can copy what a bank does. You can become your own bank, and all it takes is changing one thing. That is it. Just one thing. Can all of you in here change one thing? And that's where your money goes first. If you can just change where your money goes first, you begin the process of changing this. Now, once you change one thing, the second thing you need to do is add one step. I know I'm pushing it. I'm asking you for 2 things. Can you guys all change one thing and then add one step to how you use your money? You're not so sure? Okay, thank you. I know you can. And if you did that, you would take back control of your money. You would earn a spread on your money. Your money would be fully in your control, and you effectively could become the bank. I'm going to get to that in a little bit. But really, I've studied the difference between success and failure. It comes down to one thing, folks. One thing. Creation. You see, the difference between what Social Security says is the statistic, out of 100 people, only 5 will be financially secure. 95 will not be financially secure according to Social Security. Think about that. We live in the United States of America, the land of opportunity. How can that be? Well, that is it. The difference between those 5 and those 95 comes down to one thing. 5 of them created their destiny. 5 of them created their business. 5 of them created their financial destiny. 95 of them conformed to somebody else's failed dream, somebody else's failed business, somebody else's failed financial plan, somebody else's failure. And it's funny how we just accept that as being okay. We take advice from people that we don't care about. It's like Tyler Durden from Fight Club said. He said, we work jobs we hate to buy things we don't need to impress people we don't even like. True or true? Chapter number 2, your money must work for you. This is an important one. Your money must always be working for you. But you see, the problem is we have been taught to do the opposite. We've been taught to trade hours for dollars. Please remember, your hours cannot be valued. They're priceless. You can always make more money, but it will always come at the cost of your time. And your time is the most precious resource that you all have. So why would we give away the most precious resource we always have? Because we have not yet learned this lesson of making your money go to work for you. See, if you did make your money go to work for you, you would understand that once your money goes to work for you, it's not about time anymore. You no longer need to go into this time warp, because now the money that you earn, the money that you saved, can go out there and can make interest, can go out there and earn a spread for you. This is the important things. I mean, think about this. Has any of you ever met a wealthy person that saved themselves to wealth by itself? It sounds so stupid. I say that, I'm like, oh my God, I can't believe I just said that. You can't save yourself to wealth. There's more to it. But yet we actually think we can save ourselves to wealth, but you cannot. Let me give you guys an example of how this works. Remember, we take our money, we put it in the bank. So my wife's a witty woman, name's Larissa. When she was pregnant with my daughter, Vivi, she told me, and women, you can let me know whether this is real, she told me that there's this thing called a push gift. Made all the logical sense in the world to me. I mean, women push the baby out, it's a lot of pain. Guys are sitting there like, oh my God. But so I'm like, all right, well, she needed a car. So we went over to this dealership, a Porsche dealership where my friend worked, and he had this brand new, shiny, blacked out Porsche Cayenne S. Beautiful car. My wife fell in love with it immediately. She said, yeah, push gift, remember? I'm like, all right, sweetie. So what we're going to do now is we're going to sit down with the salesperson and we're going to negotiate this car. Now, folks, can you all tell me the 4 ways you can buy a car? How can you buy a car? How do you buy a car? Cash. Now, to buy a car cash, how do you have to do that? Save. You got to put money away for an extended period of time until you save enough, and then you take the money and you buy the car. Now, you lost the earning potential on that money when you do it that way. And you bought yourself a depreciating car. I don't care what kind of car you buy, they all go down in value. The last couple of years? Yeah, right. Second way, how else can you buy a car? Well, you can lease a car, trade monthly payments of principal and interest for the right to drive the car, then you give the car back. I'll never understand that one. You can finance a car, right? Good credit, monthly payments, principal interest, you give it to the bank, and then after 5 years, you own the car. What's the fourth way? Okay. Or you could steal the car. All right, so we got the 4 ways. So I wasn't going to steal the Porsche, so I'm sitting there negotiating, and this is how I always do it. I got a price in my head, and I write a number on a piece of paper, and I slide it over to the salesman. That number is a monthly payment. And he says, oh, I don't know. Let me go to the credit manager. Back and forth. They slide the number back. Oh, come on, man. You got to do better than that. Takes it back and forth. This goes on 3 or 4 times. Then they slide it over, and as they're sliding it, they're reluctant. Like, this is our final and best. Man, we're losing money on this car. Sure you are. They slide it over, and I look at it, and I'm like, yep. All right, let's take the car. He smiles, and he pushes over this big stack of papers in front of me, and it says credit application. And I then smile and laugh, and I push it back to him. And I said, we won't be needing that. You see? And then he's confused. He doesn't know what's going on. He's like, why did we just go back and forth? I said, because I'm going to pay cash for this car, but that's because I have my own private bank. Ooh. Yeah, that's right. I'm going to pay cash, but I needed somebody to figure out what the monthly payment was going to be so that I could pay my bank back, because I would never steal from my bank. If I'm going to pay your bank a monthly payment of principal and interest, well, darn it, I'm going to pay my bank the same. It's the same difference. Don't cheat yourself. And that's exactly what I did with that Porsche. I literally write monthly checks for that car. The car has been sold since then, but she's got a nicer one now. And now we put that money in our private bank because I changed one thing. That was where my money went first. And then I added one step, and that is how I use my money. You see, I treat my money the same way I would treat the bank's money for everything I buy. If I would pay somebody else a monthly payment, well, darn it, I'd pay myself. But see, when I pay myself a monthly payment for that car, I get to use that money. The next day when that check clears, that's my money. So that's the difference. And we're going to keep going into that. Chapter 3, protect your wealth. Now, this lesson's really important, so pay attention because we are in the midst right now of some really crazy economic times, right? You saw banks fail. Oh, but the Fed took care of that. They can't take care of it forever, folks, and they won't. We're going deep into a recession. So let me ask you this. Before you invest in anything, always ask yourself this question. Do I know enough about this investment? And if your answer is anything but a resounding yes, then either find something else to invest in or do your due diligence on it before you actually invest in it. Don't assume because something seems like it's a hot topic. Don't assume that because your friends tell you, oh, it's common knowledge, you should invest in this. Do your own research. There's a story about how in the late summer of 1929, a shoeshine boy gave Joe Kennedy stock tips. Now, Joe Kennedy was a wise old investor, and he thought to himself,
shoeshine boy's giving me stock tips. Well, I'm going to sell my stocks.
So the story says Joe Kennedy sold all of his stocks, and he made a killing. Now, whether or not this story is true remains to be seen, but the lesson in this story is what matters the most. Get to know what you invest in really, really well, and never rely on other people for advice on your money unless they have the financial wisdom to back it up. This is a really important thing because I've made so many mistakes in my life about this, where I have not done this. I have not protected my wealth. Let me give you an example. In 2007, I was a financial advisor. I'd been one for many years, doing really well. I had a chain of skateboard, snowboard shops because pro snowboarder needs his own shop, right? Batman board shops. And I decided I was going to buy this dilapidated store because why pay somebody else rent, which I was, when I can then buy this building, convert it to a 3-unit shopping center, and I can have my tenants pay my rent. Way smarter idea. So I borrowed almost $400,000 from these hard money guys. Not good people, but they gave me the money. And I began the process. 2008 comes around. Halfway done. You guys all remember what happened in 08? The Great Recession hit me like a Mack truck at full speed ahead. It brought me to my knees so bad that I was one payment away from being completely bankrupt. And I came home, my girlfriend who had just moved in, Larissa, she sat her down. I said, sweetie, I need your help. I need your help paying the mortgage. I need your help paying the utilities. By the way, Larissa, my friend Pete's going to move into that bedroom down the hall. And my friend Jess, you know Jess? She's going to move in upstairs. As if the next thing I should have said is, any questions, sweetie? Well, you all should know the story. If you followed any of my stuff, she did actually help me. And that's how I made it through 2008. But you see, in 2009, I was reading a lot of books, Warren Buffett books to be specific. And in Warren Buffett's books, he laid out how to invest in the simplest way I ever heard in my life. It was so logical. Take your pen and write these 3 steps down. This is all he said. To make money in any investment, all you need to do is 3 things. Write these down. Number 1, buy low. Number 2, this one's tougher, so put your thinking cap on. Number 2, sell high. Okay, number 3, do not lose money. Buy low, sell high, and if you do those 2 threes in automatic, you won't lose money. I'm like, okay, and it's 09. I started buying real estate because that was cheap. It was pennies on the dollar. And I started doing this. The same bank that took me out of that loan with those hard money lenders, I just started borrowing from them. A couple years later, 2014, I have 36 units. Not bad for a young whippersnapper. I got these units, they're cash flowing, so I get my 37th, and I bring it to the same bank, the same guy, my loan officer, Greg, and he says, Chris, I'm sorry. Can't give you this loan. You don't fit in that little square box. Sorry, there it is. That little square box called debt to income ratio. All right, Greg, yes, I won't do my 37th door. And then he says, yeah, but I got more bad news. We got to freeze your line of credit, man. Oh, no. I was using those lines to remodel all these places. And very quickly, like one domino going down, this is what's happening in the economy. One domino hits another. I had to sell all 36 units, all of them. How much would they be worth today? Right? 2009, 10, 11, I bought these apartments. All right, never mind. We're not even going to go there. I'll start crying, and you guys don't need to see me cry. I'm a grown man here. You get the drift. I didn't know enough about pieces of what I was investing in. Because of that, I almost lost everything. The second time in my life. Folks, get to know things that you invest in really, really well. Last Secret Knock, I asked the audience a question. I said, what is the difference between someone that's rich and someone that's wealthy? Now, because of time, I'm not going to ask, but let me just tell you. The person that's wealthy has learned how not to give back the money that they've made because they've learned this lesson, how to protect their wealth. The rich person, well, you see them every day. They're spending all their time trying to act rich, trying to look rich. Tyler Durden again. They work jobs they hate to buy things they don't need to impress people they don't even like. I'm simply trying to drive this home. This lesson right now, right here, 2023 at Secret Knock is an important one for you to learn. Let's move on. Chapter 4. Now, in my TEDx talk, Rethink Money, a letter to my daughter, I say this to her. Say, Vivi, as you get older, you're going to have lots of opportunities to make money. And some of these opportunities are going to seem really good, sweetie. Sometimes they're going to seem too good. Now, honey, most people make financial decisions based heavily on heavily on emotion. But these emotions are temporary. So, Viv, if you can see past this temptation and you can see past the FOMO, the fear of missing out, then the rose-colored glasses will come off and you'll be able to see things for what they really are. You'll be able to make decisions based on sound logic. Instead, in doing that, you'll be able to avoid the pitfalls that come along with emotional-based decision-making. These are very important lessons. And if you break and don't follow these lessons, bad things can happen to you just like they've happened to me. You see, every time I thought a big return was right around the corner, that big cash out, it's going to go to the moon. That is when I lost it all, every time. Now, this was a letter to my daughter, so I told her, please don't repeat my mistakes. But there's about 280 of you here. I'm asking all of you, please do not repeat my mistakes. Be realistic and never get greedy. Because if you get too greedy with your money will be yours no more. Now we're going to move on to Chapter 5. Share what you know. There's a whole nother dynamic to money and to wealth that most people, well, they just forget about it. In my opinion, it's the most important one. Talking about people. Which is why this lesson tells you to give generously without any conditions. And if you do that, your life will be filled with wealth. If you learn how to give and you learn how to solve other people's problems, that is all you'll need to do. You know what? I think there's a gentleman by the name of Zig Ziglar who says it best. Zig Ziglar said, you will get all you want in life. If you help enough people get what they want, you will find true happiness and no greater amount of wealth by practicing generosity and solving other people's problems. Let me tell you a story about the unconditional one. So my mom did what she could, and she did a good job. Looking back, I really admire her dedication and her sacrifice to being my mom. But I don't think I really understood the gravity of what was going on. And I don't think I understood how much she really gave up and how much she really sacrificed for me until I was much older. You see, my mom gave me my start. When I went to her and I said, Mom, I got this great idea. I want to open this skateboard, snowboard shop. It's going to be called Fat Man Board Shops. All I need is $70,000. Now let me pivot. I'm 17 years old. I started my first company at 16 called Fat Clothing. So now I'm 17 and I had this other idea. You can see I'm a dreamer. This idea that I wanted my own shop. It was going to be called Fat Man Board Shops. It's still open today. And all I needed was 70 grand. Come on. You guys all got 70 grand to give me, right? Well, back then I went to everybody I knew, my friends, my family, my dad. And every one of them said no. They said, that's too risky. You'll lose the money. That's a dumb idea. My dad my dad said, son, how about you just come over to the factory with me? He made radiators. Come over to the factory with me and I'll get you an interview and we'll get you one of those jobs with that fancy dancy pension. No, send them cats in the cradle. Here you go, Dad. You see, those people meant the best for me. But really, if you've ever seen the movie where they say, kid, you'll shoot your eye out. It's the same darn thing. They wanted the best, but they wanted me to conform to what they knew, which they never chased their dreams. They never did their own business. They weren't entrepreneurs. They wanted to protect me by getting me to conform to their failed dreams. But you see, my mom, the unconditional one, saw this all happening, and she saw my dream dying. And my mom put our house, a 2-bedroom, 1-bathroom, 700 square foot house, up for collateral so that her punk snowboard kid could get his loan and start his dream with Fat Man Board Shops. Thank you. That's a lot of risk. It's a lot of risk for a woman who had to save her spare change to buy the things that she needed. But you know what? Without her giving heart, I could have never got where I am today. I could never be up here speaking to you. I would have never learned the truth about money, and in doing so, been able to help thousands and thousands of people change their lives, just like my life was changed by such a generous act. Now, I give without hesitation, because when you give, you get something so much greater in return. Folks, people are who we need to help. We need to solve their problems. I'm up here trying to help you with these 6 chapters of my life, these lessons. But people are oftentimes going to be your biggest adversary, because the biggest thing that most people need to overcome is the way that they think about and the way that they use their money. And the hardest part about that is we can't get them to change the way they think. They have to accept that on their own terms. And folks, that sometimes takes a lot of time. Can all of you accept that you could make a change? No? It wasn't a trick question. Let's say that again like you mean it. Can all of you accept that you might need to make a change? Say yes. Well, the people you're going to come across need to make a change. But here's the good part. Because you're already going to know the truth about money. And I tell my daughter this, sweetie, you will always know the truth about money. Therefore, this mindset shift will be less of a challenge for you than it will be for your friends and your peers. The way you think about and the way that you use your money will not make sense to most of them. But share what you know anyways. And you're going to get some pushback. Mark my words. Haters are going to hate, so save them a hug. I got a shirt that says haters need hugs. Just for this. You can't change the way they do, and they're going to give you pushback. Always. But again, push back to them and lead by an example. Show them what you do. Tell them what you do. Show them how you actually went about changing the way you use money. Now, I've been very fortunate to have mentors in my life. Some of those mentors that I've had are people like Greg Reed, people like Scott Duffy, and many of the others here, David Corbin. But there's one that really rings out. Let me take you back to 2014. My wife and I were on our way to getting a show on HGTV. We were flipping our way to Risky Builders, which was the show that aired in 2018. And when we were doing that, we needed a lot of money. Anyone here flip houses? Takes a little bit of cash, doesn't it? So I needed a lot of money. So I knew this guy, Mike, and he was a A&E TV show star. He's a very wealthy guy. I'm out in Utah snowboarding, which is where he lived, and I had a deal. So I call up Mike. Hey, Mike, I got a deal, man. Can we meet? And he says, yeah, let's meet up down at Cheesecake Factory. So we're sitting there having lunch. I'm explaining this deal to him. And then I just say to him, I'm an advisor at this point. I was at 13 years. So I say to him, so Mike, how do you lend all this money, man? And he nonchalantly just says, well, I lend from my private banking system. I'm like, huh? Damn, Mike. Dude, I didn't know you had your own bank. Why are we here at Cheesecake Factory? Let's go to your bank and get some of those dumb suckers. Just kidding. But I said to him, so Mike, what do you mean you have your own bank? He said, no. I just have a banking system that I set up. I treat my money the same way I treat the bank's money. And I'm like, whoa, all right, I'm an advisor and I've never heard of this. Keep going, Mike. And he tells me, well, I changed where I put my money first. I put it into this account that pays me guaranteed interest. I get dividends every single year. The interest and dividends are tax-free. I'm like, whoa, not a Roth, because he can take the money out immediately in the next 30 days. So I'm processing this, trying to figure out what this is. And he goes on and just keeps saying it. And Chris, when I put money into it and I take that money out and I give it to you for this deal, my money never even leaves the account. The company that has my money loans me the money and I give that to you. And you know how banks make a spread? Well, I make a spread too. And every year, because my money is always compounding uninterrupted because it doesn't get taken out, he's always building. He said, every year I get a raise. That spread goes up. It's just math. I'm like, okay, I got to sit down. I'm like, I'm a financial advisor and I don't know what this is. So finally I say to him, I said, Mike, dude, what is this place? You got to tell me. And he says to me, Well, Chris, it's simple. You know all about it. You're an advisor. He said it's nothing more than a specially designed and engineered whole life insurance policy from a mutually owned company that pays dividends. Now, let me pause. Hold on. I'm an advisor. I know what whole life is. Whole life is an overpriced, high-commission vehicle that nobody should put their money in unless they want to pay for that final expense because they outlived that term insurance that I sold them. Because as an advisor, what was I told to do? Buy term? Oh, and then invest the difference with me. And I only charge 1.5%. So I'm kidding. I'm not an advisor anymore. But that's how I thought. And I say, Mike, I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, somebody got a hold of him and lied. I'm like, Mike, dude, I'm sorry. I'm an advisor. I've never seen a whole life that does what you just said. There's no whole life you can put money in and immediately take it out as a loan in the next 30 days. And he leans into me, very serious. He says, Chris, if it doesn't work this way, how have I been lending you money all this time? I'm thinking to myself, shit, touche. All right, well, this is cool. It does all those things. Well, Mike, teach me how to do this. And he says, well, I can't. This guy Brent showed me how to do this. Now, at this point, the meeting's over. I no longer want to tell you about my deal. I no longer want to do any of that. I just want to get the number for Brent and call him. So he did. He gave me the number. I paid the bill. I'm in the car. I dial the number, and I'm like, Brent, yeah, this is Chris Naugle. I must have sounded like a blender with its top up. I'm Chris Naugle. I'm a financial advisor. I just met with Mike. He's lending me money in this. He told me about this private banking thing and this infinite banking concept and blah, 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 blah. And he says, whoa, hold on a second. He says, hold on. Did you watch the 90-minute video? And I'm like, 90-minute video? No, man, I'm an advisor. Ain't nobody got time for that. He then stops me again. And he says, well, before we do a call, I want you to really understand this. So can you watch the 90-minute video on my website and then set up a call? I was a little upset, but I said, and he hung up. All right. That Sunday, I grabbed the biggest cup of coffee I could. I set it on my desk. I had a pad of paper. I put it down, and I sat down, and I'm thinking, all right, this is going to suck. And I hit play. Now, folks, I don't know how to, in words, explain things. You've all had moments in your life where words just don't do it justice, but 90 minutes went by like that. And after that 90 minutes, I had 4 pages of notes. I swear to you, I saw the truth. And I saw something that I'd never learned as an advisor. I saw what the wealthy all do with money. They all move their money. They're all in control of their money, and they know how to earn money while using their money. I saw all this in this video, and I immediately started using it. Started applying it in my life for everything. Started by paying off debts using this. Then I bought cars using this. Then real estate, and today I just lend. You see, he told me how to change just one thing and how to add one step called the infinite banking concept, and that has changed everything in my life and also changed everything for over 7,000 clients in this country alone. That one video, which all of you have access to, you all should have been handed a packet of paper, okay? In this packet of paper, the 90-minute video is in there. I urge all of you, if you want to learn what this is, watch that video. Yeah, there's my TEDx talk, but it's in the back. That's somewhere in there. It says, learn that, or come to the thing. Actually, here, how about this? Since we're talking about sharing, I got something I want to share with all of you. I got something really special we planned. After today's Secret Knock, I would love to invite all of you just down the street, Topside Terrace. We're doing a little after party from 5:30 to 7:30, and I want all of you there. It's right on the front of that paper is how to do that, but you could just meet us outside the doors and we'll all walk down, see the sun's out. And I've got something special. If you do this, if you come to this event, I'll buy all of you all the appetizers you can eat. And after I'm done, on the break, go back to my booth, far back left, and grab yourself the golden ticket. On this golden ticket, this is good for one drink at the bar. Yeah, it's drinks on us tonight, folks. So grab yourself your drinks, meet us down at Topside at 5:30. And also, I've got a special thing that I'm going to give all of you. It's on this golden ticket. If you show up, I'll give it to you. Fair enough? That's my give. There's no strings attached. I don't expect anything. Maybe cheers me at the bar. Or my team. Where's my team? We got Joe, we got Steven, we got Jordan. Right over here. You guys want to stand up real quick? Just look around, folks. This is my team. Put your hands together for them. They travel with me. There we are. So that's my give. I want you all to join. That's how I'm going to share. But here, let's move to the final lesson. This is the final lesson, and it's chapter 6, called Leave a Legacy. If all of you knew somebody that held the key to all of your financial problems, would you want them to share that? If you knew somebody that had the cure for cancer, would you want them to share that with the world? Well, like I said earlier, I've had lots of people in my life lots of people that have shared their wisdom with me. They've given me the tools. They've given me the answers. They've shared with me their wisdom. They've passed on a little piece of their legacy to me, and I'm now passing that on to you. But there's one particular legacy that I'd really like to talk about, and that is my legacy. So as I conclude here, I'd like to read to you from the letter to my daughter, my legacy. Vivi, if you follow these lessons that I've written for you, you will be wealthy in so many ways. You will be able to accomplish and create things that I never even dreamed of, because you're going to have an advantage that I just never had: time. Now, I've not always done everything right in my life, but the one thing I've done right is love you, Vivi, with all of my heart. And I often think if I could go back in time and tell my younger self one thing, it would be this: I would have began to rethink money sooner, because I've done it wrong most of my life. And I often just wonder, what would it have been like if I just did it right from the start? But I thought about this and it came to me. There's no need for me to go back in time, because my ultimate legacy will be my greatest opportunity in life. Vivi, that opportunity is you. I love you, Dad. Folks, thank you so much for your time today. Thank you for letting me share with you my chapters of my life. I hope they help you, and I hope all of you...
Hold on. You guys gave him a golf clap. Can we give Mr. Chris Naugle a big round of applause? And there's very few people in life that when you catch them in the dark, they're exactly the same as they are in the light. I've got a chance to be able to spend time with him. Before I actually had him on my podcast, I didn't even know what he had done. But we got a chance to be able to sit for about an hour and a half or 2 hours, and we just chatted, and he opened up his heart, and exactly the way that he does business is exactly who he is in his heart. And he's making such a positive difference in this world, and I just want to congratulate you, Chris. Give him a huge round of applause.